A little more college football right now. Bringing an old friend back to the show, Olin Buchanan. He's with the TexAgs.com talking about the Aggies right now. Olin, good to see you again. Okay, practice is underway. The new regime is going. I know that, hope springs eternal every August 1st, right? But how are things going so far down there?
Well, they've had uh, two practices that the media was able to watch the first, 30 minutes, right? Um, but I'll say this, players look good. They've had Tommy Moffitt, formerly of LSU, come over for strength and conditioning, and they look good. Of course, you're 18 to 22-year-old college football players. You should look good. And I've never seen anyone that said, "Hey, we went out to the first practice. They all looked like they sat around drinking beer all summer." But there's some guys that look really good. Nick Scorton, the transfer from Purdue, who led the Big Ten in sacks last year. He looks really good. We're getting a pretty good idea why he's so highly regarded. And I tell you this, I see a lot of effort, and you would hope so. They do this thing with GPS, so you got these monitors that are monitoring GPS measure things that's attached to their body, and it's supposed to it's so over my head of what it used to be. But like they figured out to give full effort, you need to be running at this speed, right? Because at max effort, they figured out like player A can get up to 22 miles an hour. So you need to be within 3 miles an hour of that. And they do these drills, and they got a guy on an intercom calling your name out if you've reached acceptable effort, and calling your name out if you haven't. So that's different around here. And I just see just more detail-oriented coaching, it appears. But again, I wasn't there all the time last year, so maybe I'm seeing things that were already done. But like for instance, Holman Wiggins, the receivers coach from Alabama, I was watching him coach the receivers the other day because that's an area of concern for A&M. And man, the guy is really on it, detail from how to hold the ball, not even catch it, how to hold it, how to block. Maybe some things we haven't seen from that position group around here for a while.
Has there ever been a season that's got a better bookend of home games for Texas A&M when you start off having Notre Dame come to town and you finish up with the Longhorns? That's got to be a great incentive to sell a ticket package this year.
Oh yeah, Aggies never have any trouble selling tickets, but especially this year. A few years ago, I think, if my memory serves, and it may not, there might have been a game before him, but they played Clemson early, and they closed with LSU, and that's close. But it's funny, they tried to, after A&M moved into the SEC and Texas ended the series, they tried to kind of manufacture LSU as the next big rivalry, and it is. They have a history against LSU, but it's not the same. It's like you may hate this guy, but you really hate that guy. So
right.
And look, no name is bigger in college football still. Maybe is it over the last few years? Maybe it isn't warranted. But no name is bigger than Notre Dame still. And so when you open with Notre Dame and close with your arch rival in a game that's going to hadn't been played for 12 years or whatever it is, I think you're onto something there.
Talking with Olin Buchanan of TexAgs.com. You mentioned this, that opening matchup. It's like you said, there's no issue with selling tickets at the Kyle Field. That's never been a problem at all. No matter how big you make it, they're going to come. But it seems like that it just adds to the enthusiasm. A new coach and Jimbo Fisher's gone, and it's a guy that everyone knows, they're familiar with. But talk about also, that other team coming, other Texas team is coming in now to the SEC. After you guys got away from them, and now here they are coming back. How's that been received now that it's actually happened and they're part of the conference?
Well, I mean, now that the Aggies have had 3 years to get over being backstabbed, right? Because they had to, hey, no one ever from Texas ever going to be in this car. Oh, by the way, we're going to new guy you. We're still not going to let anybody else from Florida or South Carolina come in. But we're going to have a new guy on this. So that happened. So once you had the time to get over that part of it and just start looking forward to playing. Yeah, Aggies like playing Longhorns. Longhorns liked playing the Aggies, except for DeLoss Dodds, who again, he was the guy, the Texas athletic director that canceled the series. Yeah, so they look forward to it. Look, I came down to cover A&M for the first time in 1993. I got here in August, and by September, I knew the two biggest days of the year were Christmas and the Texas game, not in that order. So yeah, it means a lot, and I think there's something they're already looking forward to. But there's there's lots of things to do. I think the good thing though about playing the SEC is, they figured out, Texas is not, Texas is big, but it's not the end all be all. I mean, you've had bigger fish to fry for the last 12 years. So you can acknowledge that Texas is a big game, but you got to play LSU, and you got to play a Missouri team that was really good that year, and Notre Dame. And by the way, because you've got 12 years to learn it, that you don't know. Doesn't matter who you're playing. If you go to Starkville, for instance, and you're not ready to play, you're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
The other thing that we keep hearing up in Big Ten country, there's always the rumor mill, and you keep hearing that the Aggies are talking to the Big Ten, and that rumor doesn't die.
Yeah. Well, where's that rumor coming from? That's where I would ask you.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, because everybody says Big Ten sources, but then never finishes the sentence on who the Big Ten source is. Are you guys hearing the same? Yeah. Are you guys hearing the same thing down there?
Yeah, look, I think what comes to is some guys going, hey, I need to get some hits. And let's see, A&M doesn't like that Texas is coming in, and who wouldn't want to get into Texas? Because there was always some talk about Texas going to the Big Ten, was there not?
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And so what if I just tried to connect the dots and threw this out and see how that would be? Because unless everybody around here is lying to us, we'll go to Trev Alberts and say, what? Were you hearing it? No. I've not heard that from any. A&M has enjoyed playing in the SEC, and quite frankly, I don't know. Seems to me that the Big Ten's always been kind of apprehensive about playing Southern teams in in September when it's hot as blazes. Now maybe that might be changing, but look,
Well,
A&M's an AAU school, so that fits. All those things fit, so I get where you can come, but no, like I said, first of all, that'd be news to me, and then a lot of people be lying to us that we've asked about if there's anything to it. So as it stands now, I think that's probably right up there with the A&M is paying $300 million or $30 million, a few years ago, which was complete garbage. It came from a nobody website, and just somebody trying to get attention to their website, and it did. It worked. I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, in the Big Ten.
Would y'all like to see A&M in the Big Ten?
I will tell you the biggest mess up I think that you have seen from a Big Ten commissioner is allowing Texas to go to the SEC, and the opportunities for bringing a Texas school in and getting the opportunity to get in with such a massive marketplace. It was a big mistake. I think from a purely business standpoint, I think Texas A&M would be wonderful, but leaving the SEC is like leaving the Big Ten. Why would a team do that?
Hey, let me ask y'all this: because y'all know the culture obviously a lot better than I do. Which program would you say is the biggest pain in the ass? Think we're better than everybody else just because of our school that we decided to go get our education? Who would that probably? Maybe y'all feel comfortable.
Historically, that would have been Texas, although Florida State.
No, I'm asking you in the Big Ten, who would that be?
Yeah. Probably Indiana.
Okay, well then you get Indiana times 10 if you took Texas.
Yeah, Texas has always been very similar to the Emperor Augustus, the first amongst equals. That they've invented that for college, and you can look at them, and they blew up the Big Eight in the Southwest before it. So
they've never been in a conference they haven't destroyed. So maybe, and that's I always say Texas. I might have told y'all this before. getting involved with Texas like marrying a stripper. It looks kind of sexy on the surface, but after a while, you find maybe it wasn't worth the drama and the baggage. But perhaps the SEC is just too big to fail.
I got to
Let's
write
hope so. We really have nowhere to go with this interview that's going to live up to what you just went through. Now the whole rest of the show is downhill from here on, Larry.
It sure is. So good. So good.
What would you expect from the guy in College Station, right?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, hey, glitter and all, right? Glitter and all.
That's right. All of them got the expanded playoff now. Obviously, 12 teams. Want to get your thoughts on that? And look, I'm a purist like anybody, but I'm also a realist that it's 2024 and the things have changed.
Mhm.
And I've always been in favor of a playoff. Beyond just a couple of teams. I think it's exciting because I think right now there are 30 teams out there legitimately right now can say we've got a shot at being one of those 12 teams come December.
Yeah, I think it's good for college football. Now, if you ask me what I personally think about it, I think they got 4 too many. And I'll tell you why. I think 8 would have been perfect, especially you give an automatic bid to one of the 4, now it's 4, not 5 major conferences, and their champion gets in because that makes your conference championship so important. Who even remembers or even cares about who wins a conference championship in basketball?
Right.
But in football, if you could say, hey, the only way you're guaranteed to get in, and I guess you could say that about basketball, but you still got to win the tournament to get. I'm just saying, if that was something to be guaranteed in, because hey, there's only 8 places, so if you don't win your conference championship, you may not get in. Kind of like Georgia last year, right? So I think you would have not even saved, but made the conference championship game even that much more important if you'd kept it to 8. But if you don't, I get it. I think they make a mistake by having 16 instead of, by not going to 16. If you're not going to have 8, then go to 16, because I personally don't like the idea that there are 8 teams that would have to win 4 games to win a national championship, and 4 teams only have to win 3.
Mm-hmm.
What's fair about that?
Right.
Now, I can say that if I was in charge, make me king of college football, if I'm going to go to 16, then I'd say, all right, well, or I'd say the advantage is the highly, the higher seeded teams get to host the first two rounds,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that would be your reward. And I'd have them host for 2 rounds instead of just 1, because quite frankly, and I don't think anybody else in the NCAA or college football or whatever cares about the fans. But you're to the point where you're saying, hey, if you want to see your team and be there, okay, now, all right, this day I got to figure out how to get to Los Angeles and pay those hotel prices and those restaurants. And if my team wins, well, next week I got to figure out how to fly to Atlanta. And oh, by the way, I don't have the whole week window to get a cheaper fare. And then I got to get that hotel. And they're going to jack up the prices. They're pricing out the common fan that really is the lifeblood, because hey, who's buying all that gear and stuff like that? So and the end zone season tickets to keep. So but you didn't ask all about that. I think the playoffs a good thing. Even with 12, it's better than it used to be. I have a son who's 20 years old, and not long ago we were talking about somebody winning the national championship in the 80s. I think I was telling about BYU. And he said, who'd they beat? I said, well, it really didn't matter. They beat Michigan in a holiday bowl, but it really didn't matter because they voted. And he said, wait. You just voted? How stupid is that? I said, yeah, everybody knew it except the guys who were making money off of it. Yeah. So the playoff is obviously a better idea. The 4 teams, having more than 4 teams, a better idea. We can argue about 12 teams, but yeah, it's a great thing. And you know what? A team even like Texas A&M can go in and say, you know what? If you take care of your offensive line and maybe a receiver emerges, hey, I can see our team good enough to win to get into the field. And once you get in the field, who knows, anything can happen. So I think it's a great thing, because the players don't even want to play in bowl games now if there's if there's nothing to play for. So at least you have more games where people watch it because there's something to play for.
Yeah. And we're all going to watch. I've said before, if you've got March Madness, this is delirious December. I mean, we are all going to watch every single second.
Yeah, delirious December. I don't know what you come up with January, but
Well, I'll figure
for long it might be furious February. You never know.
I got some time to work on that. So always good to talk with you. And our takeaway, of course, is don't marry a stripper with this conversation.
I know I wouldn't.
Olin Buchanan.
My wife wouldn't let me.
Thanks. That's right. Yeah. We don't want.
It's the point where she tries to encourage you. That's when you're in trouble.
It's not worth the baggage. It's not worth the trauma.
It's not.
That's right. He's going to find that out.
Stick to the rivers and waterfalls, Olin, my friend, good to talk with you, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one, y'all.
Take care. Olin Buchanan of TexAgs.com. And you can see now why we love talking to him. All right. We got to pay some bills. We'll talk some more to this.